Discourse and Power, an analysis of the Casey Anthony police interrogation. The aim of this analysis is to investigate the balance between control and power in the context of a police interview. The focus of our analysis will be on the case of Casey Anthony, the mother of Kaylee Anthony, who suspiciously went missing in 2008. I chose to look at the transcript from her police interview as it provides insight into the social institution of the police force. As this body is responsible for law enforcement as well as the service and protection of the community, it is an important area to investigate and understand. Thornborough describes power as a phenomenon which is contextually sensitive, meaning it has different implications depending on the type of social interaction it is involved in. In discourse, power can be accomplished on a structural level, for example through turn-taking or the amount of space speakers are granted access to. It can also be accomplished on an interactional level, which essentially refers to what can be achieved in that space. The interaction we will be analysing today is an example of what Fairclough identifies as power in discourse. This is defined as an interaction in which relations of power are enacted and exercised. Generally, this involves the more powerful participants controlling non-powerful participants through content, relations, and subject positions. But how is this relevant to our case study? Well, as stated by Horwath, police interviews have extremely significant practical function with far-reaching consequences. In police interrogations, the roles of the participants are very clearly defined. However, these roles are not equal. There is an evident power imbalance between the police interviewer and a supposed suspect or interviewee. To continue on with our analysis, let's look at some of the specific linguistic techniques that can be found within our text. To start off, let's discuss context. The context of the interaction that we are assessing is made clear in this excerpt included below. Although, as stated in the extract, this interaction is occurring outside of a police station. However, the officers still assert their power over Casey through their language choices. For example, usage of professional terms such as 13-20 hours and referring to the other officers by their professional titles mimics the traditional police station environment. It also is fair to presume that pre-existing knowledge schemas play a role in this interaction. Despite being outside of the traditional interrogation environment, Casey, the interviewee, appears to immediately understand she is to comply and cooperate with officers' instructions. To continue on with our analysis of techniques, let's focus on the language devices employed by the police, who are the most powerful individuals in this interaction. Throughout the interview, the police often use personal pronouns to address the suspect, Casey. Police assert their power in this way through the repetition of you, which places pressure on the suspect as it is said in an accusatory manner. This is evident in the quote, "This is going to be the point where you stop all the lies, you stop all the fibs, and you tell us exactly what's going on." Next up, let's talk about turn-taking. This interaction is structured around a question and answer format in which the police interviewer initiates new topics and allocates turns to the interviewee Casey. This is another prime example of how power is evident in discourse, as discussed by Fairclough. In this instance, the interviewer is able to use turn-taking to direct and control the interaction into any desired direction. Another technique that we can look at within this social interaction is the use of questioning strategies. As stated by Harris, the asking of questions is a powerful means of controlling discourse. In the social interaction we are discussing, the police predominantly use closed-ended questions. Closed-ended questions do not allow the interviewee to redirect the conversation, as in most cases their answers are limited to a simple yes or no. Specifically in the extract shown here, the interviewer uses a number of close-ended questions in succession to place pressure on the suspect and to assert his power over her. Use of close-ended questions in an interrogation also reduces the ability of suspects to lie or avoid answering incriminating questions. To conclude, we shall review the findings and implications of this analysis. It is evident through this discussion that police interviewers are granted a considerable degree of power and control over an interviewee, especially when they are the potential suspect to a crime. However, it is important to keep in mind that their role is incredibly serious, as they have the ability to make vital decisions about a suspect's freedom and future. This example of institutional discourse was particularly interesting to look at due to its unique nature. Although interviews are common practice across many social institutions, such as job interviews, legal or business sectors, police interviews are different due to the significant imbalance of power between the participants. By analysing interviews of this kind, the most effective interview techniques can be identified. It can also help the police body ensure interviews are being conducted fairly and ethically. Finally, assessments of this kind can inform and enhance current interview practices, specifically in regards to materials that may be used in trial.